So,
Okay, that's fine.
anybody watching right now, thanks for watching the video. I'm here with Robin, and we are going to be discussing Tai Chi and Tai Chi push hands and all that good stuff. So, do you want to say hello and start us off?
Yes, hello. So thanks for joining me. We've known each other for I guess I don't know how long has it been like now. We've talked about Tai Chi and kind of
It has
kind of
to be.
talked
It
a
seems
couple
like
of
it's
years
a
maybe.
couple. Yeah, it seems like a couple years.
Yeah, but it seems like yesterday. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, even though we never collaborated and talked about things, we've kind of followed the same training paths as far as online training goes.
Yeah. So um, I think we originally you had I saw you on the forum on the Discover Tai Chi forum, and then um, I've been doing a lot of Mark Rasmus's stuff in terms of teaching and kind of unlocking some stuff for myself that way. And also, before that, I've been doing Richard Clear's material a little bit, especially for like the Bagua and Xingyi. And I'm always like interested in like what's out there. I'm not, I don't play politics very well, so I usually
Hmm.
just kind of like to find out for myself. Really,
Right. And
yeah.
in the world of Tai Chi and online training and business models and stuff, there seems to be a bit of that in there, isn't
Yeah, it's definitely very, it's like anything else in the world. It's very competitive, and um, I think in some ways that's good because it offers the student and the consumer, it offers them options for what to how to train. And I think I was going to say to you before, I think the most important thing I have to say that's a good thing. What you've been doing is pushing with people. I think that's what a good teacher would say is like you need to, if you buy a product or buy a car, you need to test it on the road. You need to drive it against, if you're into racing, you need to, put yourself out there. You need to, you know, not stay so compartmentalized. You need to like find out and ask questions. And that's one of the things that I noticed that's good about you is that you ask questions. Um, Even maybe if it's to the point that it's like, it might seem confrontive, but I think it might be a good thing because when you start to ask yourself questions and ask questions of the world, like it actually, I think, opens up more doorways to um, opportunity for like actually solving those problems. Does that make sense?
it? It does. And I'm going to start us off by saying that when you look at a an online training program, as an outsider. You've not yet pulled the credit card out and decided to dive in. You're led down somewhat of a marketing funnel, right? So
Yeah.
you see videos of things being done, and that's the grabber, so to speak, of you. Like, hey, check this cool stuff out that we're doing here. How would you like to learn these things? So you're seeing these specific things being done, and when like you just said about buying a car, right? If I see
Yeah.
a Ferrari driving down the road, and it's like, well, shoot, I want a Ferrari. I have the money to buy one. I buy one. So I go to the dealership to buy one, and it's a Ferrari. But then when I get it home, it's it gets delivered. It's a Volkswagen Beetle, right? So and
Yeah.
and when it comes, there's instructions that say, hey, look, this Volkswagen Beetle is going to turn into a Ferrari, right? But you have to do all these things first, which I don't have a problem doing. But you're being marketed like, and we talked a little bit earlier. You're being marketed as being an kind of like an inner door student, right? You're gonna get the secrets and all this stuff, but yet those that we're seeing in, should I say, advertised promo to get you to sign up, they're the true inner door students they're not they're not having to go through a 5-year training program to be able to do the things that they're showing in these videos, right? So once you get in, you're kind of like you're behind a paywall, so to speak, of being able to actually learn these things that they're learning fairly quickly, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like
So
there is a
what I would say
faster
to that is,
way, it's just
yeah,
you're locked.
yeah, I think there's a, I think there's a lot of the Taiji world is big, but it's small too. So what I would say to that is the quickest way, and this is how, you know, to the quickest way is to study with a teacher. Like, you know, if there's family members that have, you know, um, if they're a family member, they're gonna get it. They're gonna, because they're training every day, you know, with the proper instruction, and
Mhm,
then they might, you know, go out and like get, you know, push experience with, you know, the, you know, and just like see how they measure up to the rest of the community. I think that's a good thing. So what's happening with online training is that if you have a large amount of people that, um, especially for America, like Taiji's really young, I say, that don't really know what they're doing, and they've never had like alignment, like skeletal alignments, like a teacher like put their hands on them and be like, you have to set up your structure like this, and these are how the jins feel. This is how najin. This is how neutralizing like feels, and like this is how these different kinds of fajin feel in person. An online training program can like take you to a certain point, and you're going to get people that have trained, um, maybe they say they trained for 20 years, but maybe they trained really, really poorly, or like half, you know, they didn't put a lot of effort into it. And I think that's one of the problems, is that you have a lot of people that want to be part of a community, or they want to take photos with teachers and say, hey, I'm part of this thing, which is, it's good, you know, that the community thing, that's good, but maybe they don't really, really train. And I'm guilty of that just as much as everyone else, like in different sections of my life. And then there are other times, like today when I was doing open push, I was like, you know what, I really want to, you know, I really need to train more for, you know, and I need to have better structure. I need to be able to, you know, have a lot more power and stuff. So there are a
mhm.
lot of variables, but what I what I would say is, see family, or these family, you know, successors and stuff.
Yeah, hold on. Thought, you're breaking up.
Sorry, yeah, I'm kind of out in the countryside. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I would say that the Adam had some old school students from Thailand, and I don't know.
Oh, wow, it's still bad.
I think for like 90%, if you know, like it's like if they went to, so for example, like I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu too, and if you do like Fajin on like white, I would say like you could probably do it to black belts too, like higher level belts. You can probably Fajin them because they don't do as much connection and structural work as.
Mhm.
learn how to set your structure up well enough and like learn how to sync the chi so that you'll have an advantage in jiu-jitsu. You know, and that's what dominant.
Mhm. A lot. I'm sorry, you broke up again. A lot of what was that last thing you said? A lot of you said a lot of something. It it it, it still broke up. It's whatever you just said
You
that
can, I think
it's
most,
not supposed to be heard. Yes.
so what I was saying, if you can hear me still, is that the amount of time that you would need to train to get to like a really high level.
So I'm gonna reiterate what you just said because you really broke up real bad again. So, I believe you said that you need to put a lot of time into standing practice and, Neigong practice, which for those that are kind of not understanding what that means, it would be doing a lot of standing practice and really using your E or your mind intent to melt. Is that
Yeah, to soak inside the
yeah,
body and
right.
melt. And yeah, and the thing is that like a lot of people don't, they it's it without a teacher to point out like what you're missing, like soaking in, it's not connecting.
Mhm.
And if people aren't connecting their structure, they're gonna they won't be getting like what they could out of it. I mean, because online is okay, but I'm gonna be missing stuff that you know. So
And it's
yeah,
funny, even
but I think
with
that's
this talk
yeah.
that we're having, when people even people if there's anyone that will watch, because there's no one watching this live stream right now, um, but hopefully people will find this and watch it. Um, we discussed earlier about how there's almost like a misconception of Tai Chi in the fact that people view Tai Chi as doing the form itself, and that's Tai Chi. And in reality, the form is just a piece of what Tai Chi is, and there's so much to it that you can even be doing a lot of Tai Chi without doing any form.
What I would say is like after like pushing with different people from different sorry different schools, is that everyone has like a different form, and if their teacher gave them the internals like for like Chen or something else, like they're gonna be solid. They're gonna be pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
So it's not, you know, I think so. What we do is like the 37 form,
mhm,
right? And that's a good enough. That's a good enough container, right? And then what you're showing on the Discover forum, well, that's like Adam doing the fast form, like which we don't have access to yet.
mhm.
You know, that's something else. That so, and for people to get that, um, I don't think it's offered in the online um, thing. It's like very much like Cheng and like Huang Sheng Shyan like style rebounding force push hands.
Mhm.
The
So
combat
in order for
applications aren't the
people
same.
to get that, that's another paywall probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have it, and then they would move you on to the next form. It's like if your frame wasn't set up correctly, if your frame like couldn't handle enough power, then you would spend time on that frame, like large frame or whatever frame, and they would move you through a training cycle until you could could do certain things, like have like hold enough power and
Mm.
have your structure set up correctly. And then for like the fast frame and like the application frame, where you see them like doing some applications, against a jab and a cross and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different frame.
Yeah.
We don't have access to that in the online program.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in the I've also heard in passing that back in the day, like going back to Yang Lu Chen's time, Tai Chi was done a lot more in line drills than in actual form. Have you heard anything about that, or what are your thoughts on that?
I would. I'm not like a chi academic, but I would guess that that's probably correct, because if your main focus is like bringing up power through the Jin Lu lines, from the feet out to the hands, one of the smartest things to do is, like, let's say you have a 37 form and you go through it, and it's like already by then it's like you've people space out, and it's like it's actually way too many movements, right?
Mm,
So to just focus on one movement, and like if you're thinking about push hands, like how can I make this G like really really good? How can I get all the power to cleanly move through the body in like this one movement that I know that I'm going to use, to try to like you know put power inside somebody.
mm,
That to me makes a lot of sense. Um, but you also have to realize, like in the old days, they don't have firearms. Like you couldn't go out and buy a Glock or a Sig like you can today.
mm.
You know,
True that.
it's a totally different time. It's a time of horses and steel, like swords and spears and sharp pointy darts, and it's a completely different world.
Right.
Of how people train their bodies today. It's like if you so I know that some of the HME people had you know are veterans, and the combatives that you learn, the Gracie combatives for jiu-jitsu and whatever they teach in the military, um, that's about as much as people get,
Yeah.
and it's totally different than Tai Chi. But I didn't mention this. There's a really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, Henry Akins, and if you type in Henry Akins connection, he talks about rooting. I mean, obviously those guys had met Japanese jiu-jitsu and Tai Chi people, because they had unlocked like what rooting is, how relax, how to sync the fluids to a certain degree that they got like extremely good connection. But not every
Mm,
if you go roll with Brazilian jiu-jitsu people, not everyone has that,
yeah.
you know. So I think Tai Chi does give you a lot of advantage in stand up and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, do you have another topic you'd like to discuss about Tai Chi
Um.
or push hands?
Well, oh, I was just kind of ping off you the experience for like I guess like the training objectives for push hands. And I prefer to do it like at first like non-competitively before doing free push. I don't think free push. I think
Mm,
like you should free push. You should like push with a lot of to like figure out like how to make yourself better, how to motivate yourself to train more. And but I think with getting the getting the correct target set up in terms of like being able to find like the tension in their body, like how to gnaw and like seize certain points internally in their connection. Um, that that's really important to me, and like it if I think if people go too fast, if it's like firing a gun and it like the bullet misses the target, the idea is to get the power in so it displaces them, and it either sticks inside their structure, and or it like actually causes them to lose their alignments and
Well, you know
everything.
what's funny?
That
I'm
yeah,
gonna play
go
off
yeah,
that.
yeah,
In training in the push hands, um, it almost like it requires a training of knowledge, like when you're learning and when you're teaching. There's also it's like a double-edged sword because you're trying to learn to song and ting, but at the same time, your training partner will almost see, they're trying to train song and ting as well, but in order to train and get the feeling, also we what we would say in order to get the feedback loop that you're after, they would actually necessarily it would be necessary for them to be anti-song and actually feed you a line. So it's almost like you need to train on how to feed a line also as well as how to release the line.
yeah, yeah. And I think that
Because if your
that's like a
training
that's another
partner
good
is always trying to just song everything you're doing, you're not getting any feedback loop.
yeah. I mean, you have to really like you have to micromanage their alignments, their skeleton, like everything inside of them. You have to be able to. And it's very like today I was in push with this Chen stylist, and he's really well connected, and the inside like he could wah whatever I was doing, and the problem is that like it's not easy. You're gonna have guys that are tanks, you know, that have practiced a lot. They can, you know, they've done a lot of practice, and you know, to be able to find like a deeper level, um, is very difficult. You know, and I wish it was like an easy, quick fix of like how, you know, training and stuff. But I think for any sport, there's going to be like plateaus and levels where it's just going to be like just insanely hard to get through them.
Mm.
Um, and I know, but I would agree with you. Like I've definitely met with a lot of young stylist practitioners, and it's just like they're just like completely floating, and they think they're like songing and stuff, but they're just like their structure is just really bad, or like
Yeah,
they
you're
yeah
just like Gumby. Like, and that was another thing, for anybody that does watch this after, this after we finish here. There's always, when you're first starting out, the confusion of song, and people or relax, and people misconstrue that as just being, floppy and everything, and that's where that problem comes in. Your what you're saying there, as far as their structure is bad, because it's not about being floppy. Being song is not about loose structure and being floppy, right? It's not that at all.
yeah. And I think you know, I think a lot of the practice, it's not just for young style or like what, you know, a lot of, you know, there's this thing gravity, and it's really a force that's working through us, and the best people I've pushed with, they have excellent frame and alignment and connection with the ground, and they're able to stand up within gravity like under pressure, you know. And I wish that was, and I think there's more, but you know, to be able to even get past that, um this that people want, like see like high level stuff, and they're like, oh well, maybe I can do that, and within a few years. But I think the, and there might be like, I think specifically with some teachers, not just Adam, but it's like if they get to a really high level, they've spent an incredible amount of time, like I would say, like, because I'm in Boston and there's like MIT, there's Harvard, you're going to get people that are like postgraduate, they're incredibly focused on what they do, and they're just insanely focused on like one thing. And I think there are going to be people, or in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the same thing. There's going to be any sport, anything, any area of life, we're going to get people that are just uber focused on trying to get to a high level. So
Yeah, that would relate to just about any sport. if you want to be a really good runner or something, you got to do a lot of running, right?
It cut out for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. But yeah, do you have any like what else did you want to talk about?
Um, let's see. Um, I think that's pretty good. So for the anyone watching this, to reiterate, um, much
I was
much
gonna actually add.
standing and much melting.
Yeah, I was also going to add, like, in terms of saving yourself time, because a lot of people do these online programs. It's by month and they pay for a long time. I think the quickest direct route, it doesn't matter what system you do, it's not just about HME, is go find out for yourself. Like, if the lesson is like $60, if it's $100, that's a pretty fair amount for a private lesson. And it, just go get a lesson with them and say, before you pay, say, I want to do push with you, and I
Mhm.
just want to, find out what your level's at, and I want to, like, see if I'm going to invest. That's what studying with a teacher is it's an investment. And
Yeah.
so I think with Curtis and Stefan, I would definitely recommend. You know, the others I don't really know,
Well, the
and they
funny
might not be
thing,
available, because
not
they're
the
overseas or
funny
something.
thing,
But
not that
yeah,
it's funny, obviously, but the weird thing about here where I'm at in South Carolina, um, there's no Tai Chi here at
yeah,
all. So there's no one to be like, hey, let me come and test you. Basically, not you're not going to tell them that, but I want to lesson with you, and I want to push hands and then see where they are, whether they're worth you giving any more money to. Um,
yeah.
and so I have found someone like that, but it's a couple hour ride, and it's like that's. I mean, people would say, well, if you want to get good, you got to do that. But realistically, I mean, traveling a couple hours a week in your normal everyday life, a couple times a week to get good is not reasonable.
2 hour drive. Like, you've already done, like, the terms of, like, you know I I think it should be so exciting that, like, you feel excited about, like, doing that, and the truth is that, like, if somebody isn't at that level that you feel excited to make that commitment, then it's probably your body telling you, it's not worth it. And I would say for people to, like, trust themselves on that, and just in anything, like, in terms of, like, investing lessons for your kids in music, because I'm a music teacher, or like anything else, if it's not exciting enough for you to commit and to invest, then don't do it.
Yeah,
Do something else, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, or find a different thing. Yeah. Yeah, does that make sense?
It does, yes. So,
Yeah.
as far as your own practice and your Tai Chi and your teaching, um, your closing advice, for anyone watching, if you had to give 2 or 3 solid techniques, what would those 2 or 3 techniques be?
um well, I would say, having done this for a little bit, is find out what's going to motivate you and excite you to keep practicing. For me, it's like meeting. I just started, like, an open push thing in Boston, trying to get more people to push together and to, like, kind of have a community where people can, like, improve together. And it doesn't have to be like you have to do this system and stuff. It's like, hey, we're all working on ourselves and trying to have a good time, and we can bring, like, snacks and tea, and just do push. And,
So this is a
like,
free meetup?
yeah, it's free. And I think it's also based on, like, there's a Tampa Bay open push that, like, Stefan goes to,
Mhm.
and it's like there's tons of people that show up. And I think that's a great idea of, like, having, like, an open, community, and where people are, like, workshopping and, like, finding out how to make themselves and what they want to do better. And I would, I think what you're doing is good, like by pushing with other people,
Mm-hmm.
and for people to do that, like not just stay compartmentalized within their own system, like find out like what's going on inside, out in the world. And it's a good motivator for people to train and to become more open-hearted, I think. So that's what I would really recommend.
So in saying that, you feel that um, push hands is a very integral part of the Tai Chi training,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
that without it, you're very limiting your progression.
Yeah, I think people need like to get out of their comfort zone. That's like, what they say is like, the level of growth that you can handle is going to be outside of your comfort zone. And it doesn't have to be dangerous, but like people need to get out of, their comfort zone enough that they feel motivated um, to keep improving, and to
Mhm.
keep asking good questions about, well, how can I make my practice better? Like, how can I make my connection better? How can I produce power better? And
Mhm.
that's, I think, where it really starts. But if people just, don't practice, or they just like are in a community where nobody meets up, and I experienced a lot of that within some training systems, is like people would be on the forums all the time, and then I'd be in town or in the same state, and they would never meet up to train.
Yeah, true.
And it's just ridiculous because people spend all this money on the training programs and lessons with teachers, but they don't want to you know practice. And it's like, if you're a musician, you didn't practice, or if you did an artist and you didn't practice, or tennis, or any normal thing, if you didn't practice, you just wouldn't get better.
Mhm.
you know
So, have you
so
found benefit with your classes as far as getting new students with your meetups that you're doing? Does some of these people want to pursue further? How's that worked out so
well,
far?
the ones I've met up with, like, so I just met up with the Colorado HME group, and
Mhm.
they're like well along their way. That they're in good shape, they're in good condition, right? They've like done it, and they've done like workshops, and they meet up like consistently. So
Mhm.
consistency, they meet up like every week, or like, probably a couple times a month. I saw them like ask each other, like, hey, like let me write down, like, when is the next time that you can meet. And
Yeah.
it's like little stuff like that, well, that's going to get you better. Not talking on a forum and criticizing people's videos. And for the people that are good, they're so busy practicing and like living life, they don't go and criticize people's videos.
Yeah.
That's something that I've noticed. So, um, but
So
the one here,
oh, I was just gonna ask,
yeah,
have you started one up there in your area?
yeah. So the first one was today, and a Chen Silas reached out on Reddit. It's really good. I was really surprised. You know, I thought he was going to be like, beginner or something, but he'd obviously like really practiced. He had really good connection, and there wasn't like that much, you know, in terms of like,
So how did you get the word out about your meeting? Did you put that on
he had a
Facebook
lot going for him.
or
So
what
I
did you
think
do?
there's, um, sorry, one more time.
So this push hands meetup that you're gonna start locally, did you post that on Facebook or something, or how are you getting the word out about that meetup?
Um, so it's currently on the Taijiquan Reddit, um, which is kind of a funny place. If you have you been on Reddit on the Taijiquan,
No,
that'd be a good place to
mm,
post and stuff. Yeah.
you haven't.
So people kind of shit post, but they also like, kind of post their videos, and you know, so I put it out there, and yeah, but I I don't really post on Facebook for those kinds of things. So what
Well,
about
I'll
you?
let you know
You, because
I'll
you've
let
been
you know how it
teaching, and
goes
like,
because,
yeah, yeah,
um I posted up an event today. It's funny that we're talking about this because I kinda had the same kind of thought process. I wanted to do, a Tai Chi meet and greet where people would
yeah,
just come out and meet and just meet other people and learn what is Tai Chi, because some people may not even know what it is, and they might want to learn about it. So I put an event on my page, and I'm gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna do the first one in a couple weeks from now. So
I'll add one last thing is that for my students that they're not studying like really high level material, but just in terms of like Wong's loosenings, I work with a lot
mhm.
of older people that are really into golf.
Yeah, I know. I had a student too. They were like, that took lessons with me, and they said that doing the Tai Chi has made them better golfer.
Yeah, well, I think that's great. You know, seeing that you know, if, you know, just little things can like help everyday people like really have enjoyment, and I think that's like an important thing to not um, to remember. So yeah.
Mhm. Well, that's another thing too. I was actually contemplating, like rewording some of my verbiage on my website as far as like Google organic Google rankings, and trying to have classes for people to just come in and release, and not even mention the word Tai Chi at all. It'll be more like, hey, come in and learn how to, relax the body and do body releasing exercises, things like that.
I think that's a great idea. I think there's I think there's a large market out there. There's like a lot of people that they want to come into a class with other people, and they want to connect, and they also want to like do something for their health. So I think
Hmm.
that's a wonderful idea. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have had some people who have taken the class, and they hadn't come back because they were like, "Oh, this is just trying to learn this kind of like choreographed form and all that is just too much for me." But they didn't mind all the other stuff. They didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, the traditional way of like teaching, and it's a lot of material, but what I found like working with people is that like I give them three or four like basic exercises, and they're happy with that as long as they get to spend time with other people in a class. Like that's really
Mhm.
important to them is the sense of community, and to doing that. Um, so that's the positive side about community when it's not throwing poo at each other. you
This
know.
is true.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
this is
and
true.
like people like to call, the HME people part of the cult, It's like you've drank the Kool-Aid, uh-oh, but, in a sense, you're not in a cult, you're just in a like-minded group of people who wanna, improve themselves.
Because it's push hand. It's it advertises push hands related. The other thing I was going to say about push hands is that like in our society, in an American society, getting along and having a different point of view than somebody else, I think, is very important. To be able to get along with your neighbor, you might not necessarily agree with them, but you need to get along as Americans to be able to understand, to really understand why that's important. To have good relations, but decent relations with other people, to keep society civil and decent.
For sure.
So that you don't lash out at them like violently and stuff. I think push hands is a really good way to help people. I have my way of doing things, and you have your way, and we're here to learn from each other and to like keep it chill, for the most part,
Mhm.
and we can both keep our ground. And I make mistakes, I make mistakes here, and you make mistakes there, but it's ultimately up to me to fix my house, to fix the way that I am, you know. And I think that's a gift, one of the gifts of Tai Chi, I think.
Yes,
So
another gift, like, what going off what you're saying there is, learning in a controlled way how to deal with conflict. Mhm. For sure. Well, it's just about 40 minutes now. Did you have anything else that You wanted to, well, actually, you didn't actually answer my question of those three. Like, if you had three techniques that you wanted to share, it's like kind of like your bread and butter techniques that you abandon everything else. What would these three techniques be? Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear my question? I think you're very spotty in and out. Okay, it looks like we may have lost him, but I'm just going to say out of what we've discussed so far, he probably would say um, a whole lot of standing practice, a whole lot of Neigong, which would be learning to melt and release all those muscles and everything, and then push hands practice. Those three. Thanks for watching this live video with me and Robin, and hopefully we'll be able to do another one soon. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment below what you thought about this chat. If you have any other, if you can think of some other questions that you may want to ask about Tai Chi, leave them in the comments below and maybe we can answer them if we do another one of these. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have yourself a blessed day.